This presentation takes us to the land of Australia, the home of the nocturnal lizard Heteronotia benoe. This species is one of Australia's least habitat-specific geckos, living in a variety of dry and open environments across the continent. However, it can scarcely be found below a certain southern limit. The nocturnal lizard often presents with a spotted pattern formed by spiny scales, giving it the nickname the prickly gecko. As an ectotherm, this gecko often sleeps by day and forages at night when the air is cooler and the humidity is higher. It feeds on a variety of invertebrates, including crickets, centipedes, and other crawling insects smaller than itself. The gecko lays its eggs in clutches, under rocks, inside logs, or in animal burrows. It usually lays one clutch of 2 eggs per year, making it a simulparous species. This gecko is a model organism used in a study conducted by scientists Kearney and Porter to describe the fundamental niche. The fundamental niche is an important concept in ecology. Basically, it asks the question, if we get rid of predators and prey, under what environmental conditions can the gecko survive? Kearney and Porter addressed this question by looking at 5 populations of geckos in Australia, using what they called a mechanistic approach. The mechanistic approach involves looking at 2 things, the climatic component and the physiological component. The climatic component considers the common environmental patterns in the region. These factors include radiation, wind speed, cloud cover, humidity, and the air temperature across seasons. The physiological component looks at traits specific to the gecko. These include the preferred body temperature, metabolic rate, rate of water loss, and thermal preferences for egg development. The fundamental niche is at the intersection between these 2 components, where the gecko's physiological preferences fit within the environment's conditions. This intersection is also called the niche axis. One niche axis the scientists observed is the intersection between air temperature and the optimal temperature for egg development. It turns out that the gecko's eggs need at least 600-degree days over 20 degrees Celsius to complete development. Degree days is a simple calculation that relates the amount of heat needed for the gecko's eggs to mature. The degree days requirement is crucial in defining the regions in which the gecko can thrive. Another niche axis looks at the intersection between air temperature and the gecko's metabolic rate. A gecko's metabolic rate is important because it is closely linked to its mobility. At warm temperatures, the gecko's metabolic rate is high and allows it to move quickly to catch prey. However, at colder temperatures, the gecko's metabolic rate decreases and its foraging abilities are affected. A niche axis is also found between humidity and the gecko's rate of water loss. During the day, the heat from the sun can cause geckos to lose a great quantity of water. Geckos like to conserve water, so they do best during rainy nights when the humidity is high. This preference can be an explanation for why these geckos tend to restrict their foraging to nights. Using their knowledge of niche axes, Kearney and Porter imagined a future scenario. What will happen if the Australian continent increases by a temperature of 1.7 degrees Celsius by 2100? According to their model, they expect to see a shift toward warmer climate in the southern region currently uninhabited by the gecko. The increased temperature will cause a rise in the number of degree days over 20 degrees Celsius in the south, allowing gecko eggs to successfully develop in that region. Studying the fundamental niche from a mechanistic approach is important because it helps to explain why the gecko can live where it lives and what other environments are potentially suitable for the gecko to live in. This approach gives us a big picture of the state of the gecko's niche, where it's at, and where it's going.